Hello. Good afternoon. Last session of the day, I believe. So we'll try to end it on a high note here and have some fun. We don't really have fun together usually, but we'll try to do that today. Um, so I'm Jordan Churchill. I'm Director of Provider Growth with RX Lightning. And Lacey?
I'm Lacey, and I'm with Family Allergy and Asthma, and I'm Jordan's little protege, his problem child, we should say. I tag along with him everywhere he goes.
Not a problem child, a blessing. When we launched RX Lightning out into the world, Lacey is one of the first people that I made contact with. And so that's why she's here today. And she has helped build this platform to what it is today. We've listened to Lacey along with all the other users on the platform and have really built something that everyone has been able to utilize and is really making a difference in the marketplace. So we're here today. We're going to talk about axing the facts and why you would want to do that. So here we go. Um, we have developed a platform that has streamlined specialty drug enrollment from end to end. We have digitized all of the paper enrollment forms for hubs, drug manufacturers, specialty pharmacies, and now even foundations, all into one single access platform where they can all be filled out and submitted electronically. And we are helping solve this problem of specialty enrollment being broken today. So the prescriber has limited visibility into everything. There's just a whirlwind of things, as you can see here.
Yes. So, I guess from the office side of things, one of the big things that has always been missing, at least from my side of things, we never really did specialty pharmacy enrollment forms. It's something that we just kind of bypassed. We could always send a prescription electronically, and it would get done eventually, or somehow things would get done. There would be a process that happened. It just may not be the process that was supposed to happen or the way that it was supposed to occur. By using the system they wanted us to use, or the way that specialty pharmacies would like us to start that, we were able to sort of solve some of the issues that we already had that we didn't realize could be helped by just doing a simple form that maybe it caused us some problems in the first place. That it kind of, and we can kind of go into that a little bit later.
Yeah.
But yeah, when we look at this like this gives me anxiety. By looking at this, I don't ever have to actually see these forms by using this platform ever, which thank goodness, because I might just turn it off because literally I don't even want to look at that screen and tell.
Going at these with a pen.
Yeah,
it's not fun.
From just a regular everyday office side, we're just not going to pile these on our desk constantly or in a file folder somewhere and pull them out all the time. So by using the platform, though, I'm able to go in electronically and fill out the information that's needed. And honestly, they look the same on all my forms, just about. They're
same flow.
Yeah, it is but it is filling out these forms, and I didn't understand that that's the missing link that was missing for so long. And it solved that hole. Like I no longer was waiting forever. Or wondering if they got something, if they didn't get something, where did it go, where are we at this point? So it was a nice little thing. I'll stop now. Let you continue.
I love it. All right. So as Lacey and I were talking about, like what we were going to talk about today, this is one of the things Lacey had really brought up was like all the changes that this year has really brought on to specialty enrollment and all the different changes. So Lacey, do you want to talk about these?
Yeah. So, I think for a long time, I don't even know that I remember life before COVID. For 2018, I don't know that I can say that I can remember what life was like anymore. But we've made excuses, realistically, and for a good reason, that people across the board have been short-staffed. We don't have enough people working in any aspect. We don't have them in the office. We don't have them in specialty pharmacies. We don't have them anywhere. and we still don't. But with that comes the fact that they've had to cut back on some of the services they were offering us as well. Um, I no longer have people just automatically, when I send something to a specialty pharmacy, they don't just automatically enroll patients in copay assistance programs anymore. That was always just, I'm very spoiled, by the way. So if you automatically were not always getting this, I'm sorry. I have always had my specialty pharmacies have always enrolled my patients in copay assistance, something I didn't realize that people didn't have. So apparently I just live in Lacey Land and it's perfect up here. So this is new for me this year. That all of a sudden my patients aren't getting copay assistance from specialty pharmacies. And I'm like, whoa, what's happened? I understand. I do get it. I get that, we all have issues. We all have to figure it out. And in the bigger thing, it's still my responsibility and it's still our responsibility to make sure all that's happening as well. So this is something else that we needed to look at also. Part of that to me, which is, I was like, hey, Jordan, I have another problem we got to look at here. Because I don't always know the PBM side of the benefits. I'm not looking at PBM benefits when I'm sending to specialty pharmacies necessarily. So I don't know your cost share. I don't know what you're looking at. I'm going to need to look at benefits now, PBMs. So I was like, hey guys, I need to find some way to do this also. So I know we're kind of jumping around again.
Nope, you're good.
So we're like, so one of the great things that I have to say about the people at RX Lighting is that they will listen to you. And they'll say, if you find a need, they'll say, well, let's see what we can do about it. So we're able to develop this program, and now they have a benefit checker. So talk about another problem that you can solve. So you can now check your pharmacy benefits before you send to a specialty pharmacy. So not only can you check the pharmacy benefits, but you're also seeing who the PBM is. So before you send to a specialty pharmacy if you're sending to the correct one. So you're already cutting out all those other things in the meantime as well. You're not going to send to the wrong specialty pharmacy.
And that's set.
Yeah, I mean, you're not gonna accidentally, I should say, do a lot of things that maybe we would have done just because we didn't know any better.
All right. So the access challenges, and they demand that maybe we do things a little bit different way, or a different way. So how can I be more efficient? Where do I send my specialty pharmacy patients, which Lacey just talked about? Why enrollment forms? And that's the drug manufacturer enrollment forms and the specialty pharmacy forms that are needed to get the drug out the door quicker for the patient. Can I make the callback stop? If you send an enrollment form that's not filled out properly, they're just going to pick up the phone and call you. So how do we make that stop and the fax back stop? And then I've called offices and I'm talking to them about our solution. They're like, I knew there was a better way, but I didn't know what to do. You just keep going down the same path. So is there a better way? This is big. With the working from home, HIPAA violations, or could be, it's a compliant nightmare. These biologics coordinators don't have fax machines at home, and then they don't have access to a patient. They're not going in the room with a patient to get a form signed, or the form gets signed, and then it gets put in the stack, and then the biologics coordinator goes to the office to pick that stack up, and then they take that stack home to work on everything. We've found a better way. And then with Lacey's situation, this has made a tremendous difference.
Yeah. So I am part of an organization that I was a merger group, and so my current region is across multiple states. I work with just myself alone. I work with over 35 doctors over 4 different states. So I am not in the faces of these patients. Most of my patients I do not meet face to face. Most of my doctors I don't meet face to face. They don't really know who I am. They talk to me all the time, but they don't know who I am. To get a patient to sign an enrollment form is almost impossible on my level. I have gone so far as to mail enrollment forms, which is a little ridiculous nowadays. That's talk about a waste of time. We're looking at weeks now. So when a doctor comes to me and say, how come it's been a month and I don't have a patient on medicine yet? I'm going to go, oh, well, I'm still waiting for a form to come back. It's something so silly that we really shouldn't have to waste time to do. when we have such great technology in general out there that we could be utilizing. So when if I'm in Tennessee, so if I'm in Chattanooga and I have an office even in the same state in Memphis or in Kentucky, and a person is in the office or if they just left the office, and I have a doctor who's written a script for anything in the world, I can actually go on this platform, fill out an enrollment form, and it will send a HIPAA compliant text to that patient. We have a piece of paper in the office that we'll give to the patient while they're there and say, hey, you'll get a text with this little thing, so they'll know that it's coming from a person that's associated with us. That it's not just a random spam thing, because we live in the, car warranty world, where everybody's going to say you something. But so they know that it's a legit thing. They can click on that, and they are actually signing the enrollment form when they do that. So that what took weeks to mail you an enrollment form is taking seconds or an hour or two, whenever they decide to open the link. But then when they're done, it sends it automatically. And I can see all that by the status updates that are associated with the platform. So I know whether they have or haven't even opened it. So if I can see that it's been a day and they haven't opened it, I can make a phone call and say, hey, do you know that link that you have in your text? Can you open it real quick and just sign it? Because that lets us get everything started quicker. Where this has been a huge deal to me is, of course, the across multiple states, but also when it comes to like our free drug forms or extra copay assistance or any kind of PAN Foundation, things like that. This is a huge deal because what I'm looking for, if we've gone through benefits and we've gone through all this stuff, of course it's the patient's probably not in our in front of us at all, or in an office where I can get any nurse on the phone or anything and say, can you please run a paper out to somebody and have them sign something, or a doctor for that matter. I mean, so my same thing with my electronic signatures, my physicians, they're all in this system as well. So it's the exact same process. So I already have my physician signatures here as well. So yes.
Any pushback from the providers or from the PAC programs about an electronic signature from the patient or the provider program?
Not yet. I'm not saying it's not going to come, to be honest. Yeah, definitely not going to say it's not going to come. I only started using it for that recently, though. The more like I use it more so for foundation support for my particular drugs. I have a handful, maybe they're on actual like PAN Foundation stuff, but like my PAT forms in general, even the ones that I use can even accept stamps, which is weird, I know. But they accept them naturally. So right now, no, but I'm not going to hold my breath on it because it's highly possible that it could come later.
The way the technology is set up too, it's not like a DocuSign where the patient just clicks a button and then it puts a signature on it. They actually sign with their finger or a mouse, depending on the device they're using. So it's their actual signature on the screen. So that helps that situation too. And I think a lot of those programs are also kind of rethinking their thought process too, and going to or thinking about going to a more digital route as well.
Yeah.
All right. This is before RX Lightning. Some statistics where these clinicians are getting contacted more than 3 times a day from the specialty pharmacy. Do you think that's more?
Yeah.
Or
so
less?
Recently, my favorite phone call to hate is the one where I'm on the phone and they tell me I need to hang up and call back to deal with another patient, and I about want to scream. And the only reason is because I'm one person, my patient volume is so large. That means that I can deal with maybe 8 to 10 patients a day, and that means it's going to take me 3 years to get through my patient load at the current rate I'm going. That's impossible. So if we want to look at a regular, let's be honest, this is not realistic. You're setting everyone up to fail at that current rate. No, it's got to change. So, and I mean, it's not trying to be ugly about it. It's just saying something's got to be better about that. If I'm on the phone, I know I can't keep that one person on the phone either. I can't keep them on the phone for 4 hours saying I'm going to deal with everybody I have to do. But let's be honest. Let's be back and forth. Let's come to a compromise here. I cannot do one phone call that I've been on hold for 2 hours with, then hang up to just do the same thing again 4 times a day. That's just not. That means, and because I come from a buy and bill office, so if I'm having to do that with my specialty pharmacy patients, but I still have my buy and bill patients as well, we're having an issue. This is the problem. And I'm one person with one area to deal with. So I can't imagine this is a big fallout. So yeah, this is very true. And this is happening a little bit more often. I hear of a lot of horror stories, but that's one that I've dealt with, as recently as this past week is the whole yeah, we'll be happy to help you, but you'll have to hang up and call back. I was like, really? Come on. Is there not anything else we can do? But it's just more and more often.
So is there not a non-negotiation that say you'll handle it like I can do it for my patient?
What it is that you're doing. Set up deliveries for patients all day long. They'll do as many of those as I want to. And honestly, it depends on the pharmacy that you're talking to. Truly. Like I have certain pharmacies I deal with, I have direct contacts with. And for the most part, I can deal with a lot of those. I think it depends on what the issue is, what's going on with them, how long it's taken that operator also to be on the phone. I don't know the rules that they have on their side either, so it may be that they can only be allotted so long. I'm not sure. But I know that it's and I don't ever use an example of something that's come up only one time. It has to be multiple times for me to say this is an actual problem. Because I know that there's always an exception to every rule. So unless it's happened to me personally several times, do I ever say, okay, now I think that there's an issue that we can cross. This has been something I've been dealing with now for a little while, and I'm like, okay, look, now we have an actual problem that I'm constantly doing this over and over again. And it's not necessarily one pharmacy. I'm having this across the board with a few pharmacies, not every pharmacy, but a few of them. So, and it's anything but delivery. So I'll be honest with that. If it's delivery, I don't have. They're like, sure, we'll set deliveries all day long. Like I said, 5, 6, 10, 12 deliveries at a time if I need to. If it's any other questions, if you have actual questions, like if you have, where are we at this point? Anything but the actual setup, hit go, then it's gonna, I'm sorry, we need to move it along kind of thing.
Average fill rate, according to this, is 4 days. A lot of times it was 7 to 10. Lacey, what do you think? Is it
27 to 32? I mean, I see, they laugh because they know I'm being truthful. That's a realistic goal. That's a realistic laugh. Yes, I would say, we're back down to some of these other ones now.
Yeah.
But no. Just if you were just to electronically send something through your EMR system and then you're just going to wait to see what happens. And that's just your plan. So you're just, thank you. But and it's just surprising to me that still is the main process. Kind of like for a lot of things. Hey.
So just catching up myself, are we saying that when we send an electronic prescription in our office to a specialty pharmacy, if we haven't filled out this particular form, somebody at that pharmacy is going from filling out these forms on every one of these, and that's what's causing the delays for us?
So what it is what I've learned. I wish that I really want to get on the backside of the pharmacy and just kind of sit and watch one day, because there's this phone call that's always made to the patient as well the first time, and that phone call fills out this form. Hands down. It is the address, it's the demographic sheet basically. And it is loading everything in their system. It is enrolling them in their system, is what it is. It's creating an enrollment. It's creating a chart for them. This enrollment form creates that chart for them, basically. But what another thing that this enrollment form is going to do is it gives you their order. I say funny because I still don't see the order on there. I know that we're selecting the medicine, all that stuff. But it does give you the order on there in the way that they want it read. This is where I always kind of go back and forth on this. I like it because you're giving it to them in their language. This is where my phone call stopped. This is where my faxes stopped. Pharmacists stopped calling me back so much. And when I asked, I said, why? I shouldn't ever ask a question when something's going good, right? And they said, because you told us what we need to know. But it's nothing different than what I've sent on the script, but it's in the language that they needed because it's right there on their form exactly how they wanted it. And I don't know why that is a big deal, but it literally checked the boxes they needed. So is someone physically filling out that form? I don't know. But it is the same information they need. Mhm.
Or
Yeah, so we have all these specialty pharmacy enrollment forms in our platform digitized. So when Lacey goes through and completes a prescription in RX Lightning, there's a question set of the form, and we know what required fields are from that form, and they're mimicked in our system. So as you go through, it won't allow Lacey to submit a prescription to a pharmacy without all the required fields being filled out. So then when I use this analogy quite a bit, but when you use our platform, it's like you're sending a prescription to the pharmacy in a cute little package with a bow on it.
Mhm.
They have everything they need to process that script. They're not getting an e-prescription with just the sig written out, and then they're like, okay, well, great, now I need more information. This is a start, but just a start.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah, it sure does. So we have there's some supporting documentation section, and you can upload labs, chart notes, all of that right on the back end of the enrollment. Mm-hmm. Yep. Yeah.
Yes.
We do not. Um, yeah, we do not directly, but indirectly, we're giving all that information. You can put all that information in there, and the questions are in there to help, like the pharmacies start to facilitate that. But it is coming. Yes.
or can you put in like PAs in process?
Yes, you can. Yes. Oh, I love that question. Yes, so you actually can. And I have actually gone so far to actually put the key on there before.
Because kind of
Yep. There's an actual section down at the bottom that's just like a note section. It's like an open field. You can type any little note in there you want to. So any kind of like extra notes. We also have these wonderful meds now. Some of them have loading doses, some of them don't. The loading dose medications are my favorites because new indications happen all the time, and not every dose that has a loading dose needs the loading dose, even if they're a new start patient. So it's kind of confusing sometimes. So I've used that note section a lot whenever I say this prescription is literally what I meant. I know that you're going to want to call me back on it. Please don't, because I understand what I wrote here. I understand every box I clicked is really what I meant. Promise. Fingers crossed. Pinky swear. No need for the 27 phone calls. Yeah.
right, or
Yeah, and they're going to call and they're just going to turn around and they're going to say, look, we understand that we saw, the 27 smiley faces and the high five, but we still need to make sure. And I'm like, and here, my only other argument every time I ever had a phone call, it was like, listen, I have to know the new indications. I have to know what they mean. I have to know the loading doses. I have to know how to dose it myself. But you're a pharmacist. So you do too. And they always tell me, they're like, totally. I understand that you don't need it, but I just need to make sure that you understand that you weren't going to get it. And I'm like, I sent you a smiley face. For that reason, no. But no, it's getting a little bit better because of that. And there, a lot of times my clarification calls stopped being, do we need a loading dose to it? I'm calling just to let you know that you're not going to get a loading dose. And I was like, got it. So I'm like, okay, I will still every now and then get a call for those certain ones, especially if it's a new indication drug, or for a new indication drug that's maybe not quite the big thing yet. Just I think to say that, so they can check off their boxes too, like, look, we clarified it, we did everything we had to. And I can't fault them for that either, because I'm gonna have to do everything I had to do also. So I'm not ever gonna have to, but most of the time those are gonna be on my voicemail. Sorry, I know those calls are coming in. I'm like, I can't right now. It's I will check that voicemail promise.
All right. Real-time benefits check.
Sorry.
We did get there a little bit early, but this is this is amazing because usually when I'm talking to offices, they're like, "Well, how do I know what pharmacy to send it to?" And I get all excited. I'm like, "I can help with that too." This has been amazing.
Truly.
Talk
Truly.
about
And
how
actually, and I was just in a we were just in a session a few minutes ago, and that topic came up. What happens when you send it to the wrong specialty pharmacy and they have to transfer it to another pharmacy, and what happens there, and the fallout and everything. Exactly. It's like, well, and then next thing you know, things just sit there, and then it's been 2 or 3 weeks, and you remember. It's not that you forget, but it's like because you're one person, and you're human, and you have a million other things that you're doing throughout the day. You're following up on this stuff, and you're like, why has it been 3 weeks? And I have a system that's working, but now I have a patient that has fallen through the cracks. What's going on? Well, this got triaged to a different pharmacy, and that pharmacy's going, well, we don't fill a prescription from a different pharmacy. Okay. Well, at this point, if you go back and you look the whole time and you realize, well, if I knew, because carve-out plans exist, we understand that. If I knew that maybe this was a certain plan that went to a different PBM than what I'm used to seeing on, our main charts that we have memorized in the back of our brains now, because that exists now. Not everything goes to the same places that we're so used to seeing. That we could have pulled it up and see the real-time benefits checks, and I really want y'all, if for no other reason, I want you to go by there just to see this thing because it's so cool. Well, actually, not only will it pull up who the PBM is, but it pulls up that magnificent RX number, that member number that we don't always get because we don't have patients who bring in their RX cards or anything like that to the office. So then when you're like, hey, by the way, this is the RX number, they're like, oh, well, yeah, I can help you then. It's like, oh, isn't that amazing? All of a sudden you have all the information they need too. So it's really cool.
and that happens across all specialties we work with. It's like
yeah, it's really
the
cool.
front desk collects the medical benefit, but the pharmacy benefit card's nowhere to be found. So nobody knows what they're doing when they go in to start a prescription. Or I mean, they kind of know, but they're still blind. And then when a user selects the drug in the pharmacy, you're able then to run a benefits check against that pharmacy, and it'll allow the PBM information to pop up along with real-time pricing information.
So, and I'm just going to veer for 2 seconds here, like I haven't already. So let's just veer again. Some of these platforms that we go on to do prior authorizations for PBMs. If you've ever got this wonderful message that pops up that says not eligible or can't find eligibility, please check all your stuff. What's really cool is if you put in the actual RX number, all of a sudden they are. It's like, isn't that interesting? Because it's not associating that medical number with it for some reason. Most of the time you can put in that medical number and it will pull up the PBM number and you can just click it and it'll kind of readjust it. Every now and then it's not associating it. I have yet to find one that I can't put in that PBM number and it match it. So I'm like, okay, so this is pretty cool. It's just another route that I've been able to take. It's like a member ID number.
Oh, the patient ID.
Yeah. Yeah, but so like in my office, we just don't ever collect those cards. We just never see those numbers. So until I started using this benefit checker, I was like, oh, sometimes that number is actually different. It's like, oh, cool. I knew it in the back of my mind. I just chose to ignore it because I didn't really need it. In my Lacy Land, we don't see Lacy Land's so cool. So much fun here. So much more fun than real life. Yes.
Are you sure? Yes.
No. I see. I'm just gonna go home. So where it can be filled. One of the things is if you have like a pharmacy that you prefer to use, or like if you kind of working well with one, it will actually tell you covered or not covered. Like it'll give you like if you want to try to use it one whatever.
If I want to use my area, I want to use a local pharmacy in town. I could put that in.
You can select it, and then when it pulls the benefits there, it will actually tell you in these nice little green, yellow, or red letters for visual people like me. Covered, not covered, covered with restrictions. Basically meaning it's going to need a prior authorization. You're probably looking at out of pocket costs, that kind of stuff that you're going to have to look at.
Otherwise, just so people know, in pharmacy.
So this is where, we go back and forth a little bit too. You actually have to select a pharmacy in order to get your benefits right now. So you can always go back and look at
Sometimes it will pop up another pharmacy will pop up underneath it,
Mhm.
like an additional pharmacy. I think it says will be underneath the pharmacy when it says
Yeah.
covered.
See, I'm sorry, I didn't get the name. Your local pharmacy.
Really don't want to.
And it pulls up and says like Caremark. It's the PBM. So you can, or vice versa. If you wanted to send it to Caremark and it pulled up Humana, it's PBM. It may say up there at the very top, covered, not covered, or covered with the restrictions. If it says anything besides not covered on there, you can always try to send it to that PBM and go with it. If it says not covered, odds are it's going to get transferred out somewhere. Any of them that have said covered with restrictions, it's still a preferred pharmacy.
It's a great guide to go off of.
Mhm.
Instead of flying completely blind, we're putting something in front of you all that
So you don't listen to them. Right.
Mhm.
So it's really fun.
Yeah. You can. Yeah. Yeah. And then, you know what else I like to do is I like to go down to that little section because there are so many of them that will say, well, we're just going to go ahead and transfer this to the pharmacy it needs to go to. I'll just put down there, please don't transfer my prescription. I'll take care of it because I have direct contacts with certain pharmacies that I prefer to work with. And I will break my neck before I work with some other pharmacies. So I will try every avenue before I have to deal with something, only because of the access points and because it's easier all the way around. It has nothing to do with anything else. So I will really try to go the extra mile.
So how much does RX Lightning cost?
So it is free. Doesn't cost a dime. Free to providers' offices and health systems to use. It's pretty amazing tool.
Prescription, card information. Do you need patient social? Or how are you accessing? How are you finding it?
We run it off the patient's first, last name, date of birth, and I think zip code and gender. I think might be in that too. But yeah, we have technology that runs it against the PBMs and or with them, and we can get that data for you. Yeah. Well, you, yeah, and we also,
We're going on an email.
so we also have the ability while we're on that, getting the patient signatures. We have the ability on the bottom where it says in the enrollment, it says patient authorization, and you can choose yes or no as a patient in the office or not. If the patient is yes, then a staff member can go in with a tablet or a computer instead of with a piece of paper trailing behind them. Have the patient put the computer or tablet in front of them and have them fill everything out and sign it while the patient's in the room. And then you can hit save draft. Now, that does a couple different things. So, like Lacey does this with a couple of her locations where they'll go ahead and collect that patient signature electronically. They'll hit save draft. And then we're getting ready to get to this next slide, but it provides transparency across the platform. So then Lacey can go in on her side and see, oh yeah, we started this patient, Mr. Smith, on this medication, going to this hub, and I need to complete it. And then Lacey can go in as a biologics coordinator, make sure it's all filled out completely and sent. So there's kind of two different avenues to work there.
Yeah. One of my big things is that I didn't want to add extra work to current clinical staff members. It was pretty important to me that you don't want to continue to put more on people. It's already hard enough currently. So when you start saying, now I'm going to need you to do this, you start getting the huffs and puffs. And you don't want to just continue to put more and more on people all the time. So if I can have someone just sign a iPad, or like I said, or just let them know that they're going to be getting a text link from a certain person, I can complete the computer side throughout the day when I get a chance, or as it comes up. They don't have to complete that enrollment form. They don't have to complete any of that. They just needed that capture or just to hand out that form. Either way, so that way we kind of knew across the board.
Question on the remote signatures.
Huh?
Do patients or staff have a preference to text or email, or do you find one to be more efficient than the other?
What we found, it's almost somewhat neck and neck between the email and text. One large organization we work with, a large oncology group, they have a centralized medication access team with offices everywhere. So that in itself created a big hurdle. So they were putting stuff in envelopes, snail mail. They were like 6 to 8 days for free drug. We've been able to cut that down to like 1 to 3 days tops for a response back, because via text, 89% of these patients, no, 79%, sorry, 79% of those patients, the whole enrollment form is completed in 1 day
Through text.
through text. Yeah. And I think we're at like 76% in 1 day via email.
I hope that you come across, just not getting it. So I'm on the manufacturer side.
Uh-huh.
So sounds very appealing for those that are in here,
Yes.
that do this grinding work of the day for the patient. So I hope that's a good question. So you're like a hub,
Yes.
right?
Well,
No. Yes.
okay.
We are going to then seek your assistance, so your competitors are the hubs that we are currently having, basically. I'm just trying to understand.
Yeah.
We do our hub does a lot of this stuff, but and then a lot of the hospitals have their own, right? The
Yes.
large hospital systems, they're a well-oiled machine in the oncology world. That's common.
Yeah.
They don't really seek our help or their help only for PAP,
Right.
which is fine.
Yeah.
But there's so many smaller clinics
Yes.
that I find, they don't know where to go. We're educating them about our services and what we can do, whether it's commercial or Medicare patients. So I was just trying to find, just trying to
The
piece
missing link. Link it all together.
So you're a hub, yes, no,
You're like, I'm not helping.
manufacturers trying to seek your assistance to pull through the process.
Yeah, that and specialty pharmacies as well.
So I love the manufacturers. I love that. So manufacturer portals are amazing. Okay. I have a gazillion of them. That's the problem. Do you see where I'm getting at?
Mm-hmm.
I have because I'm a buy and bill office as well. I have 2 portals for each drug. I have a copay portal and I have my manufacturer portal. That's too many portals. So when I come, and then, on top of all that, I'm still having to send electronic prescriptions for my specialty pharmacies for those that have to do that. And then what happens? So I still have another workload that I have to do because I can't see, I can't figure it out. I don't know what's going on, that kind of thing. If I still have to figure out a specialty pharmacy side, I still have to figure out how to enroll them. I had to figure out a missing link there. I still need to figure out how to get a signature on an enrollment form for PAP or for our free drug applications, for anything like that needed to happen. My biggest thing, this is where I get off the Lacey Lane train back into reality, and I get like on my soapbox. Across the land, the big missing link is benefits investigations. I don't think we utilize manufacturer hubs enough. Smaller offices that say, we don't know where to turn to, we don't know what to do. You're not using your hubs enough. You're not using your field reimbursement managers as your resources. You're not using your people that are right there at your back door enough. You have these resources that are available to you, and you don't know how to use them. We've kind of backed away from using them as much as what we should have. We need to use them more. But I can't necessarily use them through 27 different portals either. So if I can start using my hubs again, all of my hubs through one hub, just to get the baseline. I'm talking widespread issues will be better. Maybe not always fixed, but better. When re-verification season comes, I now have all my patients in their original hubs as well. I can click those magic buttons to help me also because I need help. Also, hey,
My question, here we are.
God, my son goes on vacation now. Yes. Yes.
I can't even much less. And
It's hard. It's hard. Mhm.
So I totally get that. And I have an account that just was telling me about stuff and they couldn't be happy.
Mhm.
But then I'm thinking about the enrollments.
Right. So what happens?
It's not your benefits verification. That's how that process starts when you send that enrollment to the hub. That is when the access counselor at the hub does the benefits.
Exactly. What I've learned, and so I've learned this kind of as a trial and error thing. So yes, my relationship with RX Lightning started from a, hey Lacey, you got to find your missing link here. You're one person, you can't do it all, you can't figure this out. And so I started working with them kind of, and then we were like, hey, what about this? Can we kind of look at this and see what else we can do? And hey, I got this issue. Can we kind of fall into this and see what else we can do? And they've just been amazing to kind of work with this brain and see what else can happen. But talking with other offices that exist all over the country, everybody has the same issues. And that's what's really cool and terrible about this whole thing is that we do all have the same problem, but they are all fundamentally easier to access if we all use the resources that we have. I'm not saying that we don't need to know how to do our things ourselves. We also need to know how to do benefits investigation on our own, 1000%. We should also be very good at them. But for a small office who's just getting started on doing things, who really truly has absolutely no idea what they're doing, they still need to know that the number one thing that they need to be doing is never stopping that enrollment process. Maybe instead of just filing those papers away in office, then they need to learn how to look at them and read them. Maybe that's the first thing. A big, large corporation, even the one I'm associated with, I harp with them every day. I'm like, listen, we've got to get back to doing it every single day because I'm sorry, we can't do it on our own. And if nothing else, it's your second insurance policy. If I get a benefits investigation from a manufacturer and it doesn't match the one I've done, there's my red flag. So I've just crossed the board going, well, now I can cross off all these other things. Where's the fallout here? Something's not adding up. So yes, and then but when re-verification season is so important and it's so overlooked, people are like, well, no, January comes around, people bring in the new card. Sorry. If that's the land y'all live in, y'all live in your land because that's a lot more fun. But it's just not how it works. So I think that in the specialty medication land, in the world that we live in, whether it's buy and bill, if it's specialty pharmacy, anything, all these patients, we have a responsibility that we have to do our checks and balances as well. There's not that many of us that exist out there. Still, we're getting better. They're putting more of them in the office, but if we continue to put people in the office and not train them correctly, or not give them the tools, or utilize the stuff properly, then we're not going to get anywhere. So when I say like by putting our manufacturer's papers on here, I will enroll all my patients in hubs still. So the hubs still have all their enrollment forms. My patients are enrolled in their hubs, which is nice because then, honestly, across the board, it's actually really nice. Then my sales reps don't have to wonder where their drugs are. Everything's just kind of crossed off. It seems everybody's happy.
Yeah, and when drug manufacturers are tied into our platform as well, there's a whole other thing that's not on this slide, but it's communication. So there's in pharmacies as well where we can have bidirectional communication between hubs, the drug manufacturers, and then the pharmacies. So when Lacey sends a prescription in, there's no need for a phone or a fax for a status update. It's a simple integration, and then its real-time status is fed back into the platform for Lacey to see.
But at the same time, when we do a manufacturer enrollment form through this thing, I can turn around and send that if I want to a specialty pharmacy as well. Like one click to, what does it say? Fax to a digital.
Fax to additional recipient.
So you can almost do the same thing right then. So you've almost killed two birds with one stone. So you've almost cut out another section or another hour of your time, another 15 minutes of your time, how fast you are. I can take longer. So yeah, it's I don't know how many of you all deal with certain drugs that you have. So yes, I do copay assistance for the majority of mine. There's certain ones that I have zero access to their copay assistance stuff. Like you have to, they won't let you. Like you're like, yeah, sure you can enroll them, but you can't enroll them. Like they will let you send in the forms, but then they do it all. So you kind of have to go to that.
So they don't give you like a universal thing.
No, like they will actually. So like I have copay assistance portals, so I can actually enroll my patients myself. You know, but like I can. I'm just trying to say the drugs, okay? Because what's it matter? So for Dupixent, I cannot enroll I don't have a Dupixent portal myself. Like I cannot physically enroll them. I have to actually enroll them, like do an enrollment form, send a Dupixent my way, something like that, which is fine. But that's the only one I cannot physically go in on and get like a real time, right now approved. Here's my number. We can do it the same day. It's the only one I can't do in office like that. So I don't know if there's, so that's honestly that's where we started with this because that's the first one I needed to do enrollment forms like that automatically. I was like, dude, we have to do this right now because
An allergy. That's
yeah, analogy is like we have to do enrollment forms for this one, but we also need it because it's a supplement drug too, so we have to have it. We have to have both avenues. And able to do that, it was like, okay, so now I can see both sides. I can see where it's at, making sure they're both kind of done.
So do you have the manufacturers, the actual, because I have allergy too. So, are they actually, the forms are like our enrollment forms are actually on your site?
Yeah, absolutely. So it's a real like easy to fill out question set. So it's not like you're filling out a PDF of that exact form. But then when all the information is inputted, it gets put on, it creates a PDF of that drug manufacturer form of the drug that's selected.
Same as IVIG, all that kind of stuff. It's all.
Mm-hmm. Yep. All the world. Easy now. We do have. There's about 1,200 medications in there, and then all their forms. Yeah, absolutely. All right.
That digital.
How often are they updated?
Yeah. So, just a second. Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
They are updated. We have a team that concentrates. All they do is kind of like we scan things. We have technology that helps us identify forms when they change. And our user base also helps us with that. And then when we're tied into the drug manufacturers, obviously they're telling us like, hey, we're updating our form. Here it is. This is our process. And so we will load it in.
That was a really nice way of saying. Lacey calls and says, "There's a new form now. Needs to be updated." Yes, they're amazing, and that's what sometimes we just forward them on and say, "Hey, by the way," because sometimes when you have those really good relationships with your reps and stuff, that by the way, this new form's coming out, like sold, updated.
Yep.
That's what's awesome.
Sure. Sorry.
Yeah, just a question. So that manufacturer preloaded form that you're populating with the information that you're doing from your intake, that patient digital signature from that text is populating on that enrollment form.
Yes.
And you've not had issues with farm industry accepting that.
Not yet. No. Yeah. No, because it's the bigger issue is when it's not there at all.
Well, industry has some of them have their own process for digital as well too, but it's through our own gateway.
Yeah.
In those situations that happening, so I didn't ever.
Yeah.
Investigate a little deeper.
Yeah.
Well, scanning the swap.
Yeah. No. So, but that's something that we kind of learned over just honestly fairly recently over this last year, though, is that a lot of offices have started utilizing hubs in general more when they can use one platform to enroll everyone in. So if like you had a smaller office, you can say, here's your place you have to roll all your people through, but here's your portals you can do your back work through. So instead of saying I have to enroll you through here and I have to enroll you through here and enroll you through here and enroll you through here, then I got to go back and still do everything else I need to do throughout the year or whatever. You don't necessarily have to do that. Because like I'm telling you, I'm a hub girl. Like I use my platforms like it's nobody's business. Especially like so when it comes to our free drugs and stuff, I actually order my free drugs online through the individual portals and love it. Like it's a game changer for me. So it's like anything I can do to save a second out of my day, I'm going to.
So you're only using this for commercially insured patients, obviously as well too, not for your uninsured patient. Nothing with RX Lightning goes with them for.
No, I do for free drug applications, stuff like that.
So how do you distinguish if you're just getting a patient name, date of birth, you're looking for, you said the PBM platform that's out there attached to it, if nothing shows up, you're assuming it's an uninsured.
What's going to the hub?
Well, and they're not doing that every time. That's not automatic. That's an extra selection that the user has to make. So, like a lot of times, what from my findings is that an office will know if it needs to go free drug or not, and then
You're designated
Yeah,
as a free drug.
that uninsured patient, so to speak.
Yeah. So from the destination drop down, Lacey has the opportunity, or like in an oncology office, for instance, it's like all the pharmacies are there, the hub and patient assistance only is there, and then patient assistance only is there if that's what's needed. So then they can select that from the destination.
Nurses, they instead of emailing you and saying, "We see what's going on," can they actually go in and see what the status is?
So we don't have. I have mine set up a little bit differently. I can see all of my sites. They can see individual sites, so they can see their.
So they can see their providers.
Yes.
Instead of emailing you and saying, "Where's
Yes.
this at?"
Exactly. So if it's been like sent to a patient to sign or something like that, we'll just say like say in progress. I think.
Yeah, in progress, patient not needed.
It's been signed. It says completed.
Okay, so they know either it's in the works.
Mhm.
You know it's done.
Exactly.
It should be good.
Yep. And there's actually a section on there you can actually put like I can actually change that status update to shipped if I want to, or I can change it if I need to, like those types of things.
They can use the platform as a CRM system to make status updates all the way through. So then when patient calls, somebody can look in there and be like, oh yeah, this is where they are in the process. And yes, when there's connectivity between a manufacturer or pharmacy, then those alerts can be sent back and forth in real time. So then there is no manual Lacey going in and updating the status.
Yeah.
It's there for them to see.
Yeah, I cut and paste all day long. It's not integrated into my EMR system, but yeah, I'm a 2-screener user, so I just clicking over all day long. Which is the same thing with my uploading. I just print a PDF it and upload it straight over, which cuts out that whole print scan fax.
Great thing for your nurses. They don't even necessarily need to go into the system.
Right. Which is, and honestly, and I'm human, and I'll just be completely honest with it. They've checked and balanced me before. They're like, hey, Lacey, by the way, you started this one, but you never finished it. I'm like, because they're like, we opened it and it's still blank, like some things. Because you get started on something, you just finish it sometimes. So so they're awesome. They can always just go in and be like, it still says in status. So.
Yeah, the patient assistance forms, if we're sending a link to the patient for signature, how does it call for additional information, like prescription expenses, proof of income, things like that, around to like electronic check?
Yeah.
So on obviously each of those forms is all different. So when the patient's looking through that form, they can look at it on their screen at home. If they have the ability, they can, with taking a picture or uploading a document, they can attach those documents in on their own. Yeah, when they're needed. Absolutely. So you go to rxlightning.com and you will move over to the right hand side and it says I think register user, and you'll click a blue button and
that's way too many steps. You just go back to one booth and they'll sign you up for you.
yeah
Yeah, we can. Why not?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. C- Come by our booth. We have a booth, and I'll run through a demo with you. Absolutely. Yeah, no problem at all. Yeah. Any more questions?
Now you've got to the question point.
Yeah. Yeah. Now we're to the questions.
We need to find. Yeah. Right now.
I'm telling you, it's I don't know, it's kind of scary here. I think you would be there.
So what are your biggest pain points you have? Nice.
So many. That's just one aspect of it. Yes. My life is dealing with pain points, but that's why I love it, I think. So yeah, I come from buy and bill world. What is not a pain point right now in 2022 in specialty pharmacy land? I guess specialty medication. I shouldn't say pharmacy, specialty medication. Yes, I will always have pharmacy phone calls constantly. I still periodically will deal with the backwards prior authorization facts. You'll get, like, hey, fill out this form now because you didn't like the one I sent in. And I'm not really sure why sometimes. And I'm going, that really makes sense for them just to turn around and say, never mind, we already have it. I'm like, just read the information you have. I don't like, so a lot of my stuff comes from the prior authorization side, honestly. It comes from more of the, I'm asthma and allergy. Yep. So, and this is I feel like we have come to this odd place to where you almost need a Cliff Notes version of your office notes. You need to send in a summary of what you're sending in, because I get denied. Yeah, it's like you get denials based off we'll approve it for this, and this, and I almost want to send it back circled where all that information is because it's literally already there. And you own it. It's truly just it's a Cliff Notes version. It's all the information's there. I understand that sometimes it's no, I don't understand it. It's pretty easy to see most of the time. It's almost in the same language. I have really good relationship with my physicians, and so when a new coverage policy is updated, buddy, they're the first person that has it. I'm like, this is your new lingo, learn it. We have that good bond. So their office notes are pretty transparent. They write like it should be written. If something says you're not going to approve it because they haven't had 2 or more exacerbations, they'll say this person has had 2 or more exacerbations that has required steroids within the last 12 months. It's a common sentence that is literally in every office note if they've had it. And then I'll get a denial that says, has this patient had 2 or more exacerbations? And I'm like, are you serious right now? Like, you're going to cause me to drink on a Tuesday. Which is why I brought bourbon for tomorrow. Because it's like, no. I'm like, whoa, this is so yes. So tomorrow, listen, have y'all seen the breakout session tomorrow, the Bible bourbon? That's mine, and you'll see why. Because issues that cause us to drink on a Tuesday. That's what we're doing. And it's strictly that's the whole point is that it's stuff that we can't make sense of. I understand that, and then my favorite one is that I'm overworked because I've got a gazillion faxes, and then you're going to see me going, well, we didn't get the information in time because I can't get to it because I've got 27,000 of these, plus I got another million things I'm trying to do, and the information's already there. So that's my biggest pain point lately is that I'm trying to deal with the problem that there isn't a problem, but you're causing a problem, and I don't understand why. So and that's new. That's a newer one for me. I feel like that hadn't been happening that often. So I'm still giving us all the benefit of the doubt, saying, we've got a lot of new people that work in the industry now. In general, I'm gonna try to give us all the benefit for a long time. For a while. If we're having the same conversation in like a year and a half, I don't know what we're gonna do. It's gonna be a different show. We'll have to try something new. But, yeah. But that's my bigger issue. across the board is benefits investigations. I can't get people to do them. People, I don't know. I call them blindly submitting prior authorizations. If you're not checking your benefits, you do not know what you're submitting. You might have knew what you were submitting last year, but you don't know what you're submitting this year. You may have knew what you were submitting 6 months ago, but those policies update, they change. You know, what was true last year may not be true this year. So if you don't check them, you don't know. No matter how good you are. I'm just always going to live by that thought. That's just a rule of thumb. Somebody asked me, in eligibility, I am blown away by how many people do not check eligibility on patients. I'm like, oh, I mean, these are like your foundation elements. You know, these are things that have to be done. And how a patient can come into an office at all, and not have, and their insurance, you know, was not it was termed like 6 months ago. I'm not real sure how that can continue to happen. Let alone end up getting, 5 or 6 injections at this point or an infusion and still not have an eligible insurance. And then they go, oh yeah, by the way, I got a new card. Well, I mean, across the board, we have a lot of failures. So that's an issue.
And practice management systems have batch eligibility, checking days, all up to the day of appointment.
Yeah, so there's always a rule and there's always an exception to the rule.
Yeah, they're all.
Always. And I'm okay with that. I think there's always going to be a problem. There's always going to be something that happens. That's fine. But when you have the fallout, and because of just a fallout, like when you can't say that there's, again, it's not that there's, I won't let something doesn't bother me unless it's a continuous cycle. It doesn't. Truly, I'm not usually bothered by a whole lot. But when something happens on a routine cycle, I'm going, okay, there's an actual problem here. This is an occurrence that keeps happening. There are literally offices still that don't even understand that you need to check them because they assume that someone will just bring you their new card when they get one. I don't understand. In my mind, it just doesn't make sense. But that's the perfect thing about us all being different, I guess. So, well, I'm telling you, that's a fun land.
Thanks.